As mentioned before, I will be doing the extension application. This is the curl from the other day. My hair is pretty healthy, short of course, but we are going to spruce that up, change it, add the extensions, the length, do really romantic after the makeup is done, of course. And I'll be reviewing and basically showing you the process, the steps in another video because I need content. I don't want to give you all the goods in one time. So the first product that I'm going to use, I'm going to basically just start on eyes. I normally do foundation on myself first, which is kind of unheard of for most people, especially makeup artists, because it's not what I do on other people. I actually do the eyes first, just in case I make any mistakes or any cleanup. But because I know my face and my steps so well, I normally do it backwards. But because not everybody is an expert, we all make mistakes and we all have little hiccups, I'm basically just going to start with the eyes. So this is the 24-hour MAC Studio Fix, the 24-hour Smooth Wear Concealer. I feel like it just works the best for me, especially because I have a little bit of texture, not a lot, thank goodness, but this one is NC43, so just a bit lighter than my natural color. And I'm basically just gonna put a bit here and then just a smidgy here, because we're basically just starting. And since I have that ugly little thing, once I put on all the makeup, I'm not gonna be able to really do too much more to my eyes. And I am gonna go ahead and just blend that in. Now, most people will use a wet beauty blender, but because I am more of an oily combination, I actually have found that using the dry sponge actually kind of absorbs a lot of the product. I know it's kind of going against the use of the product, but for my skin and for longevity, I have found that this works the best for me. You know, again, everybody's different. Go ahead and try. Normally you would use the wet sponge so that it doesn't absorb a lot of your product and it basically puts it in. But because I want such a bare minimum of product on my face, of this product on my face, and I kind of want my sponge to absorb some of it so that it's not very wet, I'm gonna go ahead and do it dry. Now, I'm not really putting it all over the eye because I don't necessarily need a full base, you know, something like maybe like a primer or anything like that. Not using any of that. I'm using whatever's on the sponge on the rest of my lid because I don't want a lot of product. Excuse the noise. I thought that having the microphones was really going to be able to help, and I've watched all of the YouTube videos of all of the reviews of, you know, the equipment that I should buy. So this is a learning process, believe it or not. Again, using the phone, and it is getting the least amount of noise. This is one of my all-time favorite palettes. I always have this in my kit. I find it the most universal. I find it that I can use it for so many different occasions and looks. But this is the Lorac Pro palette. This is, I believe, the first one. So this one is gonna have the black in it, the blue with a little bit more of the warmer colors, and then a couple neutrals. The ones that I use the most are cream, taupe. Brushes are very important. You know, you don't always have to get the most expensive brushes. You know, I have e.l.f. in here that are not too much. I have Morphe, not one of my favorite brands, but I'm always willing to try different companies, you know, just to see how they, you know, stand up to the competition. I'm gonna start right now. I'm using the Morphe brush in M505, and I'm going to start with the taupe color here, and I'm going to basically use that in my crease. I want to create a little bit of depth into my eyes, and using a color that's closer to your skin tone but a little bit deeper is the best way to create definition. And the quality of the Lorac shadows are amazing. So as you can see, I'll just press a small amount onto my brush. I've never swiveled in my life. You do not swivel ever. My technique is always pressing just the tip of the bristles because I want more of a concentrated in a smaller area amount of product. So because we're focusing on in a crease, so it's not like I would need the entire amount of the brush in there. So now if you know your own face, you're gonna know that no two eyes are the same. I have more lid on this side and less on this side, so I actually tweeze my eyebrow for it to be higher so that when I draw it in, it looks symmetrical to this eye because I have more lid, more a little bit here. So I want to create more of that open eye look where I'm going to create a little smidgy more. I mean, teeny tiny amount. Always start small. It's so much better when doing makeup that you start with a small amount and build. So I'm gonna go more into my crease here just to kind of create a little bit more of the illusion of my lid being smaller on this eye. Now, positioning of your brush when you're applying products is extremely important as well. You have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to how you hold your brush, where you're holding your brush is going to depend on the pressure that you're actually putting onto your eye and the amount of makeup that you're using. And blending, you should actually never be really rubbing your eye very hard. Blending should be very, very soft process. So the softer that you're pressing, the better, because you're basically just creating soft lines with all of the product. You never want anything super harsh unless that's the look you're creating. Well, that's a little bit better. As you can see, I do have some natural daylight in the background, and it is 7 p.m. so the light in the sun is going to be getting pretty dark. So I have a ton of lighting around me, so we're just going to work with that. Of course, have a reflection from my mirror, but you know, I'm going to still get it done. So next is Garnet. Now, that's going to be this color here. It is a little bit of a sheen to it, a little bit more on the purpley reddish. So again, I'm going to use my eye blender from Charlotte Tilbury. And the reason being is because it's a pretty firm brush, but soft. Before I ever put anything onto my eye, I do a tap. I want any excess to come off. I'm used to not falling on my face. So it's just a habit that I created. It's less mess, less time cleaning up. So little habit. Now I'm basically just gonna press this onto the eye. I'm just tapping because I want it to build. And again, these are very high quality shadows, so you don't need to use too much, and a little bit goes a long way. So I definitely want that to pop more. So I just do a little tap into the powder, and again, I'm going to be tapping it onto the eye. And I'm just putting this on the lid, just on top of the eyeball. Because now that I created the space that I'm going to stay inside with my crease color, makes it a little easier. This is, again, the Kylie Jenner. I'm just, you know, it's here, it's out. I'm really finding great use to it. I'm starting to get my faves already. So this is the type of a palette that I really like. I've used this color in another one, and it's Almond. As you can see, it's kind of going into the same family of what I want. And now I'm going to go ahead with the Coastal Scents, the N09 brush. And, you know, again, I always do a tap, but I'm spinning it, so I want all of the entire area. A teeny tiny little tap. And then we're going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the crease because I want to create a little bit more depth. So what I'm doing here is I'm following the crease. So I'm going inside, following the crease, and I'm really kind of just pushing this. Now, this is a general for my type of eye shape as well. So I want to kind of create more of, you know, the smokier look on the outside. And you can see here, it just creates a little bit more. But again, I don't want anything super duper strong. Now for this eye, I don't go all the way as far in because I want to create the illusion of this eye being bigger. So I'll kind of stay closer to the outer and just kind of create a little bit of that smoky in here. Whereas in here, I've gone more in to the outside of the iris and created more of the depth there. Now, with this same brush and with that same color Almond, this is where I'm basically gonna go underneath the eye and create a lot more of that drama and pull down. Now, whenever I go on the bottom, I like to create a shape, okay? So I'm just gonna dab just the teeny tiny baby tip of that shadow onto the tip of the brush, because what I'm gonna do now is I'm basically gonna go from the corner and I'm gonna go out to the temple. So I just kind of like to go in a straight line out, and I just want to pull it because that's where I want my eyeliner to go. So it's almost creating that shape for your eyeliner, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a precise line yet, because you know, you get to clean it up afterwards. And if you want more of that pronounced line, you can create that. So we'll see how it comes out. And then I'm just kind of connecting it. So we're doing a line, and then I'm just connecting it to the outer corner. So I'm just boop, boop. Easy, and now you can see how it's really starting to change shape. Okay. So now to the fun part. This is a eyeliner that I discovered. I'm always constantly trying to find new liners. I was running out of my absolute favorite of the MAC Engraved. Now, I really, really, really love this liner because it's so long lasting. It's more of a drier texture, and it doesn't move at all. Doesn't smear anything. I can put it in the waterline and it doesn't get on my contacts. I have a lot of problems with waterproof liners because I have to wear contacts. It's prescription. I do wear color, which actually would be a nice little plug for the Desio Lens contacts. I'm wearing the Delicious Honey right now, and I'll put a tag for them in the description as well. So this is from LA Girl. It's the Kajal Auto Eyeliner in Super Black. Now, this is very, 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 very creamy. It goes on very easily, and this is why I used it to create this look. So as you can see here, I'm using this brush to smudge it. And once it sets, it's not gonna move. But I'm gonna do the inner rims. With such a little effort, which is incredible with this liner. with engraved, because it is such a hard liner, I do find that it can tend to feel a little scratchy. My eye was a little wet there. So as you know, a waterproof liner is not gonna sit on the eye if your eyes are watering, because it's retracting away from the water, off of the water. Not meant to mix. So you just wait till it dries up a bit and then just go right back on top. So I am connecting all the way around, inner corner, outer corner, and creating. And it's dry, which is amazing. So now we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get kind of close in here for you so you can see. Now, how I'm gonna drag this. I see a lot of people do this, or I don't really know how you guys put on your liner, but the easiest for me is going above, being gentle, and kind of gliding it across and going in baby steps. So I'm just gonna go along the lash line, doing kind of small strokes. And because we are gonna smudge underneath as well, we're gonna go lower, right into the lash line, right into the lashes. And I'm going back and forth because I wanna get between the lashes. And remember, now that I have that guide there, I know which direction I want to go with my eyeliner, how far. I'm gonna go out just a bit. Now to create, and you can see this is a pretty rounded, focus. This is a pretty rounded liner, but you can still get a nice kind of defined line. It's the pressure. It's all about the pressure. The harder you press, the thicker the line's gonna be. The softer you press, the thinner the line is gonna go. So I'm basically just using this, maybe, I guess you could say that the tip, but the side tip of the top of the liner, and then I'm gently dragging it towards the way that I want it to go. So now we've created that. And then with your liner, you go from kind of your farthest point out, and you're just gonna bring it in and kind of always filling in that pot. So it's like a V, and then I start from the outside and pull it straight back in. So then we have that beautiful little effect there. This is a Cozzette brush, number 10. This one came in a brush set, which I love. Everything. God, Cozzette, love your brushes. I've been using these for quite many years now. So now I'm basically just gonna go in and I'm just gonna rub right on top of that. What this is doing is it's basically just making it look more undone. It's making it not so prominent. It's not making it so dark. And harsh and bold. But it is breaking up in the eye. Most eyeliners will do that, but so this is creating that more softer look. In some spots, it's a bit bare. So like here, I kind of want to intensify just a smidge more. So I'm just gonna tap, 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 tap. And I kind of want to create more depth on the bottom. And I want my little V to be filled in just a smidge more. Okay. And it's kind of cool because when you're doing that smudge with the brush, it's bringing your eyeshadow color, which is this beautiful garnet, and kind of blending them together. So it's not creating such an eyeliner look. Now, I went back in and I'm barely holding on to it. I'm like literally just gliding so softly. And just kind of giving it a little bit more oomph. And this is not meant to be a perfect liner line. So it's okay that it's a little, you know, a little bit more of like gaps and stuff. So, but it's a little bit more full, and that's what we wanted to create. Now, what's kind of cool too is, you know, you can always go back in later. So this may not seem like it's a lot right now, or maybe it's not enough. But once you finish and you've got your lashes and once your brows are on and all that fun stuff, then you can see if this is enough. But otherwise, I kind of think this is plenty. Now, what I did do the other day is I did go back in with the almond underneath. Actually, I'm going to do that after we put our foundation and everything back on, so it'll be our last step. So, and just really quickly, something that I love, it's a staple in my makeup looks. I always do the inner corner, so I really accentuate the tear duct area, and I like to create a point. And you can do this with a liquid, with a pencil as well. So what I end up having to do is I have to end up making this line a little thicker, so when I'm further away, they match. Even though I have that little wrinkle there, it's not something that you absolutely pay attention to. But as you can see here, this is becoming very, very smoky. And then of course at the end, after we do all the foundation and concealer, which I'm not putting too much of all of that stuff on like normal, then you'll see how it's going to soften it up even more. So cool little tip as well. This is a full coverage concealer, so it's not thin, it's a bit heavy, but if you let it sit for at least about a minute or so, it's going to give you even more coverage. And of course I am using the dry sponge, so it's kind of thinning it out a smidgy more. It's picking up a little bit more product, which is what I want. Trust me. So now I'm basically using the sponge and a little bit of the concealer to kind of create that shape that I want, and to clean up anything that I don't love, because it's not done. So there's so many easy steps that you don't have to worry too much about. You kind of just go by steps, and as you can see, the concealer covers quite a bit. So time for foundation. I have a lot of different ones. I have different brands with different types of textures and coverage and whatnot, but I'm using the NYX Born to Glow foundation today in color Cinnamon. Now, I have such a habit of always putting foundation on my lips, because I have a darker lip, and I feel like it's such a nice base for my lip color, whatever one I end up choosing, which is normally like a nude. But today I'm actually using color. So even though I used lip gloss the other day, I really want this to look more complete. That is so much foundation on my forehead. I don't usually condone using a lot of foundation on the forehead, just because it's such a firm, taut area. Like, look how much I just took off. Oops. Okay. That's too much. Because what your forehead, you're basically just matching the rest of your face. Now, as you've noticed, I always do my eyebrows last. There's a lot of artists and different people that end up doing their eyebrows first. I can't do it. I don't need the outline of the brows as a guide. I have learned to find the symmetry of somebody's face and what I want. I pay attention to their position of their ears. I pay attention to their hairline. Of course, I look at their eyebrows, but I can automatically tell where their eyebrows are gonna go and whatnot. So I never do the eyebrows first, ever. I'm actually gonna go in with just a small amount of one of my favorite loose powders for the face, not for the eyes. The Super Matte Loose Powder from Makeup Forever. Ooh, the name's not on there. Oh, it's on the top. Makeup Forever. This is a pretty universal shade. It's not my exact shade, but it's a little warmer, and of course it's pretty thin, so it's not necessarily supposed to match my face. I believe this is shade 52. So I'm gonna go in with just a soft little, not very firm, probably a blush brush or maybe a contour brush, but I tap in a bit from here, and I always do a roll. I always want it to be consistent. You want it to be consistent and all the way. And then I'm going in the top and I'm pushing it into the brush, and I'm even doing a tap because I don't want a lot of product on my face. I don't want a lot on my skin, but I am in Miami and it is humid here and I sweat and I want it to last longer. So next step, bronzer. Love this brush. This is the MAC. Oh, 129S. You know these little numbers always wear off. Now, I don't know if I did this or if this is the way it came, but this one is more kind of a flat and then tapered. So this is the one I use for my bronzer. I love the Becca Ipanema Sun. I actually discovered this from my sister. It's very hard to find bronzers for darker skin tones that are natural. I love Guerlain blushes. Guerlain bronzers. Very expensive. I'm not using that on myself every day. And this isn't very cheap either, but you know. So again, when I work with all of my products, I always do spinny tap, tap, tap. And then, so with this one, I didn't want to do a super contoured, super sharp look like I normally would. So I'm starting here at the top, and I'm kind of just pulling this in. This is how you're supposed to wear bronzer. This is what bronzer is for, to create a sun-kissed, soft look. But I have cheekbones. I have cheekbones for days, so they're gonna pop out anyway. But always a little bit of color on the hairline. I have a bigger forehead, so depending on the shape of your face, so a lot of people that have more of a square-shaped face, you would just do it here in the temples, or if you have a heart shape, you would just fill in right here. So just depending. Now, because we're kind of making this more of a sultry, focused on the eyes, I'm actually I'm gonna darken a little bit lower than I normally would. So as you can see the difference here, it's drawing a little bit more attention here, whereas I have a lot more attention onto the forehead. So we're gonna change that. Makeup is such a beautiful little tool. And then I'm just using whatever's on the brush to kind of make sure that there's no lines. Now, I always go into my temple. I just feel like I have a big face. So I want to bring a lot more of the tension here. So as you can see here, we're already kind of pulling everything in more towards the eyes. I'm with this bronzer at the moment, I'm basically only leaving about that much space of where there's not color. So I'm basically kind of lifting and pulling it all in. And start small. Everybody, please start small. Start with a small amount. Never just go in, go ham. Never. Never, never, never. You're gonna regret it, and you know, it's always the best way to build. So I have a bit of a longer face, so again, pulling up. I always do my chin. And then underneath to create a shaded look. And I mean, again, there's not a lot on the brush, so it's not like I'm creating super defined lines with this. This is just a very soft kind of a look, as you can see. Like some people do the little line across. I don't understand that. I don't do it. I don't care. Okay. It's not super, like I've seen some people do super chiseled noses, and I'm like, geez, I wish I could do that, but I can't because it doesn't look like that. All right. So next is, now with this look, I didn't do a lot of highlighter. I did just a smidgy, and I did it with my MAC dupe. My wonderful, lovely MAC dupe that I showed in my last video, which is the highlighting powder from Wet n Wild. Oh, how much did this baby cost? Like $5? I don't know. I don't remember. It wasn't a lot though. This one is called the Golden Flower Crown. It is a gold tone, and it's not super piecey, but it gives you just enough. And I do a tap, everyone, please. Don't waste your product. Don't make a mess. I just do a little tap, okay? And now I'm just gonna put it here, right above the cheekbone. And I do a little here because I have a lot of area. So I always tend to just do a smidge there. That's why I do the bronzer here, because I have a lot of area on the side of my face. So I just want to kind of create more of that pop and depth there. Because normally I put a lot of highlighter even underneath my eye. And I am putting a little bit into the brow, like corner, but not a lot. I don't want my brow bone to be shimmery with this look. I want everything to stay pretty matte. So I'm still in the search for my perfect peach blush. And this one does the job for now. So it does have a little bit of sheen to it, so it blends really nicely with the bronzer. Again, press, and I do maybe like a little squiggle. That's a lot of product. I do a little tap. So again, I'm actually just going right here on the top of where I put that bronzer, and I'm softly pressing it in, kind of following the top line of where I went, but still leaving that space here of the highlighter. Okay. All right, so whatever's on the brush, I always like to warm that up. I'll warm the tip of the nose. So I've been seeing a lot of people use a ton of blush on their nose, and it freaks me out because I'm like, do you have a cold? Like, what is that all about? I do that to bring in all the color, and as you can see, it's not like I have a super duper pink nose. I mean, it's a little bronze right now, but I'm gonna go over it. I'm gonna even soften it more. So I love a little blush on the chin. That's it. Now, fun little thing. To pull colors, to pull everything all together, I will use a little bit of the blush. I will use a little bit of that blush and just put a smidge there. And it literally just softens and warms up any look. Just a bit. On the top of that line. So it just kind of creates a warm, soft illusion. And if I'm being lazy, I'll just use the blush brush. But since I'm being very intentional today, I'm using my blender brush. And you're just dragging right across that line. So you see how it kind of just softened everything up? So now that we're back and our foundation and everything is done, I want to shade more underneath the eye. So I'm actually going in with the exact same brush, using just the tip with Almond. Love this freaking color. I'm sure I can find it in another palette. I promise I will. I'll find it for you so that you can all find it and buy it. So back with eyebrows, pulling it all together. I use the eyebrow styler from MAC, the Spiked. Ooh, love Spice, by the way. Spice lip liner. Probably been using that for 22, 23 years now. My brows are never the same on a day-to-day basis, ever. Similar, but never the same. So I just do whatever I feel, however they feel. Now, I always like to kind of go a little bit more in because I'm accentuating my eyes so much. I want to create more length in my brows. And then I fill it in. So again, I'm just doing very soft, very lightweight strokes. To the temple. And it's so funny because even after I get done, sometimes I'm like, oh crap, that is not what I wanted. So let's see, because I don't know until I actually look straight ahead. But I'm gonna just cross my fingers and pray it comes out good. I normally do the ends a little further. I don't really feel like it's necessary though. Okay. That was easy. Normally I will use a very full lash. But when I did this the other night, I put one of my favorite new lashes on, which is the new Kiss Matte Couture. I threw away the box. And it took all of the whole entire look, it just took it away. So I love Kiss's lashes, or the Ardell. It's just, I find like the Ardell lashes, they sometimes can tend to have a heavier, thicker band. So with these ones, these are a little long, they're a little fluffy. I ended up having to put a couple coats of mascara on them to make them kind of show a little bit more. But, you know, it's okay because I just want a little bit of lashes. That's not the main focus of this look. I'm going to go ahead and use I go between Kiss, the strip lash adhesive in black, just because I like that it's black, or the Duo Quick Set. I didn't like this one at first because I think I used too much of it, but now I love it because it dries so fast. But a little trick that I always end up doing is I'll leave a step out while I let this dry before I put it on mine. So a lot of people put on their glue a lot differently. Now, what I'm going to show you is I go directly, how can I do this? How I like to do this is I go right on the line, and I make sure that it's very evenly coated. Because if you put too much, it's going to blob. If you put too little, it's going to come off. A lot of people I see put it on this bottom part and then just like slap it on the eye. But because I push this so close to the lash line, I put it on the very, very, very edge, and just, that's it. So this is going to take quite a bit more time to dry. So again, I just find a different task. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to put on a couple coats of mascara. And obviously, guys, any products that I'm using here is my own for myself, not my clients. And of course, everything can be sanitized and cleaned anyway. They've done such a good job in creating products for artists to use to be able to make the work environment a lot safer. I'm not really doing too many clients at the moment because I'm focusing on a lot of other fun stuff that I'll be coming out with soon, and cannot wait to share. But everything is in its due time. Patience. Patience is a virtue. Patience is definitely something that I have learned in a very painful way. Because every single little thing that I've ever tried to rush always backfired. Always, 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 always. Don't rush. There's no rush. Just enjoy the moment. Enjoy this moment and this time. You know, things don't always go as planned. 'Tis life. 'Tis life. So I don't have a lot of lashes, and they're a bit straight. I never got into the habit of curling my lashes. I know some people that won't leave their house without curling their lashes, and you know, we all have our weird habits. I mean, you're not weird for doing that, but it's just a different habit than mine. It's just not something that I do for myself. And I'm such a lash fanatic that I want my lashes to be perfect all the time, so I end up just using fake falsies. I'm gonna do a video of the Lashify lashes. There's so many mixed reviews on them, and then of course I have my own technique because I put a crap ton on because I like them dramatic, and I use the really strong glue, their strongest glue, and I put a lot on. So I know, again, I'm a bit unconventional when it comes to makeup and techniques. I did a boo-boo. I am talking too much. Nothing a clean, dry brush can't fix. So with this look, I am doing the bottom lashes. I don't always do them. I don't always do them anymore. What I'm using is the L'Oreal Extra Volume Collagen Mascara in Black is Black. I like it because it's not crunchy and it's easy to wash off. Okay, so yeah, I mean, the lash glue's probably been drying for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and I'm gonna let it sit there even longer. Because by the time I set it on my lashes, it's gonna be like a second, and I don't have to move it, I don't have to do nothing, it's not gonna, you know, make my eyes water. For a lot of people that have a lot more sensitive eyes and you know, have a hard time putting lashes on or have a hard time for them sticking, having that wet feel and of course wearing a lash is very unnerving sometimes. Not to me, I'm used to it, many years of practice. But when it's more dry and it just tacks on and you're like, oh, it's in place, it makes it a lot easier because you're not constantly just touching. So I think, do I have time? Let me look at this glue. I don't know, it's pretty wet. I'm gonna let it sit for a second more. So with my lip, the other night I did a lip gloss and I feel like I wanna do a little bit more of a bolder soft, but not super strong. Softer, darker lip, matte. So this is the MAC. I love their lip products. This is Vino. Again, these are my lip products as well. My personal. Because I actually like to put the products that I use for my clients, I depot all of them and I put them in a palette so they're constantly cleaned, and then I use a spatula to apply their lip products. Of course, except for the pencils, but I have a whole kit for that too. But I think my lashes are ready, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab them suckers. Now I used a tweezer. I always put it more towards the middle of the lash. I go straight into my eye, and then I squint, I watch, so I can already see where each tip is going to land. So what I'm doing is I'm actually going above the lashes because I can feel them, and then I'm going to set that baby down right in the center where I want it. And now I'm going to grab the end and set that baby down where I want it. And now I'm going to go in the inner corner towards the base and set her down. Oh yeah, they dried quite a bit. So as you can see, no movement, no wetness. It's right directly on my lash line. No qualms, no mess. So now you see this is a pretty dramatic looking eye now that we have on the lashes. Let's finish our lip. So I have two colors here. I'm gonna go with this baby. I like this texture way better, but I have a feeling I know what we're gonna end up having to do. I'm not a fan of how bright this is looking to you guys. Now I feel like my face is looking very washed out. And of course, you know, the foundation, my natural oils and things like that have definitely absorbed a little bit of the color. And when you're going with a darker lip, you do need a little bit more color in the face. There, just a smidge, just to kind of pull it all together. All right, so I'm gonna go in with Currant. Call me crazy. It's a very dark brownish red. I want to see. I'm just not looking. I don't like how berry this is looking. I've just turned this into a fall look. No, not my intention. We're sticking to the romantic date night look. Well, this turned into a very 1920s Gatsby look. So this is our completed date night, sultry, evening out with the girls look. I really hope you enjoyed. As you can see, I've added a little bit more face color, a little bit more bronzer. This foundation is a smidgy light for me, so it's creating a lot of kind of highlight. So I had to add a little bit more depth. Now, I put on a dark lip with this look, so as you can see, I mean, you saw me the other night with just a nude lip. 100%. Love, love, love that. I wanted to try a lip color because no one's been able to wear lip color, okay? I haven't worn a lipstick in like a year, like everybody else. So I really wanted to see how this looked. As you can see, my pencils are still like brand new. Literally first time using this lipstick. I've had it for so long, so just kind of wanted to show you and pull it all together. I'm really happy with the result and the way that it came out. I don't think I needed to really add too much to the eyes. You know, it basically pulled in really nicely. So I'll post pictures, and you know, of course, the next step is hair. I'm going to be showing extensions. I'm gonna basically be putting like 3 different people in my head and creating all this loveliness. And thank God for good genes, and thank you, Mom and Dad, for this glorious head of hair, even though it's short as heck. But you know, date night romance. And of course, you know, it's a very fun, sexy, glamorous look. If we're just, even if I just wanted to, I mean, like I wore my hair, just my regular hair the other night.